Okay, today we're making a dish, a Spanish dish called picadillo, and it requires an onion, some garlic, a green bell pepper, raisins, believe it or not, capers, green olives, and some different spices that I'm going to list later on. I'll list it on the website, and I'll talk about it. But I'm going to get to chopping all this and get it ready. And of course, it's going to be 2 pounds of ground beef and some tomato sauce and some plum tomatoes. So we're going to get into all that. I just want to show you the introduction here. Okay, so this one is going to be a dice. So you see how I cut it halfway that way? I'm going to cut across this way and then down. And you see I've got like a, not a fine dice, but it's a medium dice. And then I'm going to cut my pepper probably about the same size as you see those onion pieces. So everything's going to be about the same size. And I'm going to saute the onion and the pepper together. And then I'll add the garlic, because the garlic will be finer. I'll add the garlic a little later. And after the onion and the garlic and the pepper are sauteed, I'll return the meat back to the pot. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to brown the ground beef. Okay, so let me finish all this and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so you see I've got my peppers, onions, my garlic. I didn't crush it yet, but I want to talk to you about what's going to happen here. I've got some nice paprika, and I'm going to use a tablespoon of paprika. Seems like a lot, right? Okay, tablespoon of paprika. And, oh, it looks like there's not a lot left. Ancho chili powder, but it looks like there's not a lot left in this bag. That's okay, I have a new one. Let's see how much is in here. Not nearly enough. Okay, so I'm going to take from my new bag a tablespoon of ancho, right? And that is a very mild, I mean, it's got a little bit of heat to it. It's a fairly mild chili powder. Okay, and now, you see I've got my cumin double bagged here because the original bag broke. And this cumin has lasted me since forever because I use it very sparingly, right? So I'm going to use about a quarter teaspoon. I'm going to grab it. Less than a quarter teaspoon of cumin. I don't want the cumin to overpower the dish, but I want you to know it's there. And cumin could very easily overpower the dish. Now you see I'm running low on my onion powder, garlic powder. That's okay because I've got new ones. And I'm just going to use a teaspoon of each. So even though I've got fresh garlic and fresh onion in the dish, I'm using onion powder, garlic powder as part of my spice mixture as well. Okay? And finally, as part of, I include it with the spices even though it's not really a spice. It's 1 small beef bouillon cube. I'm just going to break it up in there. So those are my spices, and I'm going to add them later. So I'm going to put them aside. So in the meantime, I'm going to start browning the beef. And of course, we're going to use 2 boxes of these raisins. And we're going to add, I don't know, a couple ounces of these green olives and a couple ounces of these capers. I might have some open in the fridge. I don't know. I bought extra jars just in case I went low so I don't have to go back out to the store. And that's it. And plum tomatoes. And I should have had some tomato sauce. I don't think I have any in the cupboard, but I think I have enough plum tomatoes to cover the whole tomato aspect of this dish. So now I'm going to start browning the ground beef. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to raise the flame about there. It's a thin bottom pot, so it's going to get hot fast. I'm using olive oil this time, and just a little bit of olive oil. And I've got 93% ground beef. You probably couldn't see that in there. I'll get a better shot of that. 93%, I'm going to use 2 pounds of it. So I'm going to just throw a whole pound in one shot. And for this dish, I season it in layers. So you see I'm going to throw a little bit of salt down, a little bit of pepper down, and then I'm going to start breaking it up and brown it. So here we go. And I don't need to bore you with all of that. So I'm going to go off to do something else, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's browned. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I'm browning the beef. I've got my onions and my peppers here ready to go. I got my garlic, which will go in after the onions and peppers because that's cut smaller and it'll burn. And now I'm going to do my tomatoes. And let's see, is my knife sharp enough or do I need to sharpen it? No, I think we're good. And basically these tomatoes are going to just go in at the end, you know, after I brown the meat and after the onions and peppers and garlic are all sauteed, then I put everything back together. I put the spices in, and then I throw these tomatoes on top, and they render their liquid, and that's what makes the sauce for the picadillo. And it actually turns out to be a pretty saucy dish from all the liquid in the tomatoes, which is really cool. All right, I don't need to bore you with me cutting tomatoes. Just wanted to show you what's happening here. And there's, hello. There are 8 of them. Right, I did 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6. So that's it. I don't need to bore you with the rest of that. Okay, so here's the beef. Now you see how it's all grayed, right? But now there's a little bit of oil in the bottom of that pan. Watch what's going to happen. In a few minutes, it's going to turn. It's going to dry up. All that liquid's going to dry up. The meat's going to get a little browner. It's going to start to crackle and snap and pop, you know, like Rice Krispies. And that's when I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to do the second pound. And that really makes for a nice dish when the meat gets to that doneness. Okay, you hear that spattering? That's a good sound. Right? You see how now, just hit the camera. It's actually, whatever little fat was in there, that meat is kind of frying in it. I'm going to brown it just a little bit, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. And this, you know, if I was making chili, this would make a good chili also. But this is the deal. Give it a few more little bit, not even a few minutes. Okay, so this first pound of ground beef is done. See how it's brown, like it's getting brown, like it's getting like that fried, crispy brown? That's what I want. So now I'm going to do the same exact thing for the second pound, and then we're going to continue with the dish by sauteing the onions and pepper and garlic. So let me take this out of here and start the second pound. Okay, so here's the second pound going right in. And we're going to do the exact same thing, right? I'm going to season it with a little salt and pepper. And I'm going to brown it the exact same way. And I want to also point out here that, you know, you can do this if you don't want to use beef. You can use turkey, chicken, pork. you could probably, I'm going out on a limb here. You know what? I'm going to actually try it one day. You could probably, if you wanted to, use that Beyond Meat mixture, you know, that vegetarian thing. I'm going to try that one day. I'll let you know how that works out. You could probably get away with using that Beyond Meat and make it an impossible picadillo. Oh, wouldn't that be interesting? Oh, gee, I just thought of that. You know what? Maybe one day I'll try that. Okay. So now the 2 pounds of beef have been sauteed and browned. I'm adding in my onions and peppers. I didn't put the garlic in yet because the garlic is cut finer. I don't want the garlic to burn, so I just put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. See how I'm seasoning it layer by layer? I'm not putting a lot of salt and pepper. Okay. And we're going to just get these onions and peppers to soften. And they're going to also, when they release their juices, they're going to scrape up all that beef goodness in the bottom of the pan. It's going to be great. Okay, so what you see here is 4 ounces of olives, 1 ounce of capers, my spice mixture, the garlic, of course, 2 boxes of raisins. Look at all those. That's 8 tomatoes diced. That's going to give us all the liquid. Let's go back to the onions now. Okay, see how the onions are softening nicely? Onions and peppers, right? I don't want the flame too high, and I want to be able to scrape up all of that, you know, meat goodness in the bottom of the pan here. Okay, looking good. Alrighty, so it looks good. I'm adding in the garlic. Okay. And after that garlic releases its aroma, I'm going to throw the beef back in, and then I'm going to mix in all of the spices, and then the tomatoes, and then I'm going to top it with the other ingredients. I wasn't recording. Oh, God damn it. Well, guess what Dumbass forgot to do? Dumbass forgot to record when he put the beef and all the spices and everything in. So this is what it looks like now on the back burner simmering. I'm going to put the lid on because Dumbass forgot to record it. So now, well, you can imagine, right? I put the beef on top of the onions and garlic and everything, and then I blended in the spices, I stirred it all up, and then I put the tomatoes and the olives and the capers and the raisins all on top. And you just use your imagination, okay? Use your imagination. Please do me this favor. Thank you. Okay, it's been about a half an hour, and you see how some of it's collapsed a bit, right? And if I stir it, you see how it's getting some liquid in the bottom of the pan. That's from the tomatoes. So I'm just going to stir it up a little bit and then put it back with the cover, stick it on the back burner, and let it do its thing. Okay, so here's the picadillo. And you see a little bit of oil. Oh my God, Lola. A little bit of oil floated to the top. But you see how everything condensed, all the tomatoes collapsed. Look at those raisins, how they plumped up. And that's done. You serve that over rice, or I like to have it with some tortilla chips sometimes. Okay, so picadillo. And you see I've got my picadillo over rice, right? And I'm going to just mix it up. But you know what else I like a lot? Well, I like 2 things. One is I like to sprinkle a little bit of smoked habanero on my picadillo, because I like it a little spicy sometimes. And I like it with tortilla chips. So I like it with rice, but I like it also with tortilla chips. And it's a real simple dish, and it's super delicious. Oh, I wish I took a picture. Well, I'll take a picture like that.